Tucked away in a suburb of York, a small haven of gardening tranquility lies almost hidden amongst the homes of Acomb villagers. For decades, extending far back into the last century, the people of Acomb have enjoyed the pleasures of growing their own fruit and vegetables on green lane allotments. Indeed, there were times in the distant past when produce from the allotment meant the difference between very little food on dinner plates and a plentiful supply of green produce full of nutrients and vitamins. Those of us who are relatively new to the site are fortunate in working side by side with experienced allotmenteers who have many a tale to tell, alongside a wealth of valuable horticultural advice. Today, thanks to all those who value the site and the creativity and energy of an enthusiastic group of allotmenteers, the site not only provides space to produce a steady supply of those important ingredients that keep us all fit and healthy, but also an opportunity to enjoy the peace and tranquility of a small piece of countryside hidden within its boundaries. The story begins around 5 years ago, when one of the veterans, Mal Foster, planted the seeds that would inspire a new generation of community-minded allotmenteers. Mal, a source of endless wisdom with regard to cultivation, wildlife and stories of times past, had been a plot holder on the site for many decades and knew every square inch of the site. He suggested to a few of the newer tenants that an association of tenant volunteers could work together to bring a new sense of vitality to the site. This was the beginning of Green Lane Growers, who set about transforming the allotment into a vibrant and inclusive haven where folk can enjoy the benefits of nurturing their own fruit and vegetables whilst enjoying the peace and quiet of carefully managed natural surroundings. The site, at this time, had seen at least a decade of declining popularity, and there was evidence of a good deal of neglect all round the site. Not, I hasten to add, on tenanted plots, where crops continued to thrive under the loving care of the gardeners, but around the non-cultivated areas of the site. The pathways, the drive, the car park, and the unlettable areas were overgrown, sometimes difficult to navigate and in a state of general neglect. Dwindling numbers of tenants during this period also added to an air of sadness that a place once thriving with managed growth could fall into such a state of disarray. However, as we all moved into the second decade of this century, two events occurred. One locally and one with a much broader impact created the possibility of a new beginning for allotments. A global interest in how we care for our planet inspired many of us to think about where our food comes from, and a smaller number to think about how we could produce our own. At a local level, rightly or wrongly, the local council decided to shed its responsibility for the management of allotments and handed it over to a group of enthusiastic plot holder volunteers who were awarded charity status in the development of a new body that would oversee the management of all the sites in York. An important part of their remit was to re-establish safe access within every site and to create an environment where any resident of York, no matter what level of means or ability, could, if they wished, have access to an allotmenting experience. With this in mind, the newly formed Green Lane Growers set about nurturing a plan that would see Green Lane's site transformed within a period of 5 years. With the support of the new managing charity and the success in securing grants from a police service charitable fund and the City of York's Forgotten Corners initiative, a corps of enthusiastic volunteers converted the funding into two purpose-built plots adjacent to the site's car park. One designed for the children of a local school for children with disabilities, and the other for adults with mobility difficulties. The plots consist of raised beds of varying heights for the school children, with access to mains water and a purpose-built compostable toilet shared with the adult mobility plot. The adult plot has space for 6 tenants, who each have one wheelchair-accessible raised bed inside a polytunnel, together with a locker, and one accessible raised bed in the open air. All of the raised beds have a mains water tap attached to them. Of course, to make these facilities accessible, the driveway and car park had to be made good, which brought a smile to the faces of all the tenants on the site. It's hard to imagine now, only 5 years on, that the volunteers not only created the community plots, but also transformed an unlettable wild area of the site into a meadow full of wildflowers and an orchard full of fruit trees commemorating someone special for each of those who were part of the planting party. Thanks to continuing maintenance by the Green Lane growers, the meadow and orchard have become a place where weary gardeners can sit and take in the delights of nature, and where families can picnic and share the wonders of nature with their children. Of course, all of the hard work of the volunteers has to be rewarded at some point, and with this in mind, a neglected and unlettable plot has been skillfully reclaimed. While retaining its quirky ambience, it's become an area where tenants can relax in the company of friends and family, enjoying a campfire, barbecue, good food, and inevitably horticultural banter. Green Lane Allotments offers an insight into what is possible when an unlikely group of comrades get together with a common aim. Why do they do it? The rewards are too numerous to list here, but foremost is the sense of delight at seeing children and adults who would not normally have access to allotmenteering enjoying the natural but carefully managed surroundings alongside the rest of us. Long may it continue.